Welcome to Ed Tech Tools for Student Accountability. My name is Amanda Taylor, and I'm going to be going over 3 personal ed tech tools that I found to be helpful with student engagement, student interaction, as well as an overall sense of student accountability. Now, in this day and age, student accountability in an online/distant learning world can be difficult, but I personally found that these 3 websites were really useful in incorporating accountability. That being said, there are a ton of other options out there that you can use for student accountability, engagement, and interaction, but I'm going to cover the 3 I found the most useful and also user friendly. Um, that being said, we're going to dive into some tips on holding students accountable while online. Briefly to covering this because I really want to dive into the ed tech tools. But that being said, thinking forward, it's really important to create an environment of trust and responsibility, giving those students accountability and ownership of the learning process, really connecting autonomy into this. Um, we want students to really have that sense of accomplishment when they feel like they are doing something that's useful and doing something that's important. They will want to do that. They'll want to do that assignment and they'll start holding themselves accountable. As an instructor or a teacher, you'll want to have clear expectations set so students know what you're expecting from them, as well as kind of teaching students how to assess their own assignments and work. We'll see this in some of the tools that I'm going to cover, how you can encourage your students to really look at the work they're doing and be proud of the work they're doing, which connects highly with that sense of accomplishment and thus connecting to accountability. All that being said, we connect right into Bloom's taxonomy. I mentioned autonomy earlier and how important it is for the students to feel that sense of purpose. And Bloom's taxonomy really gives a good example of why you want to have your classroom set up with a creative and an evaluation type element or assignment as part of it. Um, the goal of holding students accountable is definitely connected to Bloom's taxonomy. Students recognize and recalling facts or just remembering information may not keep them as engaged, while being able to do this creative or even evaluate level of Bloom's taxonomy here can really make the student feel like just proud of themselves and accomplished in themselves. Um, how does all of this connect? How does ed tech help? Well, it keeps them interactive. The students are engaged. There are ways to use or technology to your advantage. Screenshots, social media, having rubrics really help to have that idea of clear expectation from the instructor or teacher to your students. Um, there's options to allow student choice. There are so many ways that ed tech can really help bring in that accountability. A lot of times it's even as simple as the student putting their name on their assignment. For some of these ed tech tools, students have to put their name down to create an account in order to do the assignment. Right there, you already have students having to put their name on items, so you won't have any no names show up in your grading. Um, the first ed tech tool we're going to look at is Quizzes. And Quizzes has options for both work and for teachers. It is free. You can use pre-made quizzes. You can also do a personal use and just look at quizzes for fun. So we're going to take a look at that website here. So this is Quizzes. I made my own little profile here. You see Amanda Taylor. My hair is not this bright anymore. But that all being said, I just did the personal use so that we could take a look at it. I found playing here in this explore tab to the left-hand side just gave me an idea of what they had to offer. If you're a math teacher, you can just see more underneath the math category here. And next thing you know, you have a quiz on addition and subtraction. You can save the quiz, which I thought was neat. It'll save over into your own personal library, again, to the left-hand side. And you'll be able to click on my library and use it again. Now, right now, I personally don't have any collections started, but let's start one. Let's start math here and create my own little library. And now if I was to teach math, I go to my library and maybe I didn't save it into that one. The idea is there though. You would be able to save these to your personal collections and go back to them whenever you knew you needed to use that quiz again. What I really want to show as quiz is though, is the idea of having students being engaged and interactive. Now, the for students quizzes is a different setup. You as a student end up using your phone to log into where the quiz is. So let's go back to this explore category and we're going to search for any topic. My favorite is animals, just because I know a tiny bit enough about animals that I might pass one of these quizzes here. You could use any of these. And what I like too is it gives you the grade level that would be best for these quizzes. So we're gonna just click on this one that says animals, says 6th to 9th grade, and we're gonna kind of see how this goes. I am currently in teacher or personal mode here. So when I click on start a live quiz, I can do an instructor pace, which means you can take as an instructor teacher this quiz along with your students and actually get feedback on how they're going. I also like that there's a team function as well as like a test function. Now, these require multiple people. So if you have a big class and they want to do teams, it's really neat to be able to assign teams together. We can also do this test option. It's more like an exam, good maybe for a final type assessment. But since we're just kind of playing with what is offered here, we're going to look at the classic mode. Now I'm going to hit continue here, and it's going to give me a code. And what's nice about this code is I can go on to my phone and enter in this code if I was a student and join right into the quiz. Now I want to show you what this would look like from a student perspective. So I've gone ahead and logged in here. So we're going to hit stop share for just a second. And we're going to start the share from my phone so that we can actually see what this would look like from a student's perspective. Now, if I hit Google Chrome, it's going to take me right to join my quiz because I wanted to test this out. And I'm going to hit for students because if I was a student, this is the way I would go into it. We're going to see it loading. Now on my screen, I have the code, so I knew what to enter in on this side. And the code is 244334. That's a 2, 4. And I'm going to hit join a game. And we're going to actually see this quiz. I'm going to hit start. And as a student, I can see this screen here. I can have different theme colors. I can have a car. I can have just purple, which is my favorite color. Along the bottom here, you'll see days 1 through 5. This is really cool. It encourages students, almost like a video game, to join in and check in every day and take whatever assignment is here. And here we go. Now, this music to me drives me crazy. I turned it off. As a student, you can also turn it off. There's a button down in the bottom hand corner to do that. what animal is a snake? It's a reptile, pretty sure. So I just selected that right there on my phone. And look at this. It's funny from Despicable Me. Shows me how many points. Another type of app that is very similar to this is um, Kahoot, where you can make your own quizzes and you start competing against each other, and it can be very competitive. I do not read this question, but I'm going to go with fish and frog. Oh, I was wrong. I didn't read the question all the way. So I like that it incorporates memes. I feel like this is good for almost any grade level, especially if you are teaching multiple grade levels, or maybe you're like a teacher's aide or online learning of some way. This is going to get students engaged and interactive. And what I like, as I said earlier, that whole option of doing that daily check-in and getting rewards for checking in, accountability. It again connected me to video games and how if you connect in, then you will get more rewards than usual. Um, so this is how the end, I just stopped the quiz so that we could see how it ends and what it looks like. But what I want to go back to is what my screen looks like now as an instructor, because this is what is awesome about that assessment piece. We can see here my name as participant. This is my student name, Amanda, and what question they got right and what question they got wrong. And so this would be a general way to quickly look at how everyone is doing assessment wise and how accountable students would be overall moving forward with their engagement. You could even have students compete against each other, test exams. There's a lot of ways quiz can be an interactive piece. The next one ed tech tool I want to talk about is Socrative. It might be Socrative, but I'm going to pronounce it as Socrative. This was cool because this ed tech tool has options for both K-12 and higher education and corporate. There's a pro option, which is $60 a year for K-12 or $100 for higher education / corporate. But all in all, it's a free option for teachers and instructors to use. And this is what it looks like. It is just a quiz. There's the space race is a game, and exit ticket is kind of like a final assessment. If you are lecturing, you can throw up a quick question and have students answer it. What was neat about this is there are some options for quizzes already on here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to actually jump right into the student login. That way we can see what is going on over there and see how it was working. Now I need to log back in here to my teacher account because it did time out on me, but that's what happens with ed tech and technology in general. So we can see here that if this was for a teacher or instructor's classroom, that they need to find a way to get some accountability and also an assessment, they would be giving out this number up here. This, for me, it's Taylor 5872. And that's the number that we're going to type in as a student because that is our room name. Now, for me personally, I can't have my teacher view and my student view open at the same time. It does get a little finicky on that end. However, this is where I'm going to jump back into using my phone and show you how the student view will look versus the teacher view. So let me exit out of this one here so that I can show you kind of a combination of both. We're going to use this quiz here that says World Facts Quiz as just kind of a fun way to test out our students' knowledge. And in that meantime, let's jump into this quick stop share. and quickly come back over to my phone and share our screen here. Now, once again, my adorable background, jumping into a room. And like I said, that Taylor 5872 is going to be that student login. Takes a second, and it says enter your name. We're going to just enter the name student so that we can take a look at the difference. Now, I started this quiz. It was World Facts. This is one of the ways that students, it's very similar to the last one we looked at, to quizzes, but with Socrative, what was different is there's more to it. It's not just a quiz. Quizzes is all about, just the quizzes. I got this question wrong, and the correct answer here is true. I really just have this quiz to show kind of what options are available. Like I said with this, it does have the similarity of, that is not Canada. It has those options of quizzes, but it's got more than just what quizzes had. Quizzes had only quizzes. I'm going to just kind of skip through these questions really fast. What is the world's largest ocean? It's the Pacific. That's probably not right. Oh, that's right. Cool. Okay. So this is really what I wanted to show you, is that it had this really cool option to do that quiz. Now, if you're an online instructor, then you can assign these over a course of time so that students can go in and complete them while you're lecturing. Now, for me, I just did this quiz to show you that it's got a quiz option, but what I want to do is come back to the teacher view and show you what the space race is. So space race here, it's going to ask if I want to stop the current activity, which is that quiz, and I'm going to hit yes. And then space race, we're going to click on that. I like to use the unicorn because I'm extra. Now, the hard thing here is that the space race is not have the required names. It is more team oriented. You can do auto assign or student choice, which is awesome. You can choose that student feedback. You can do all of these options. And I only chose 2 teams because there's currently only me on here as a student. But the students are randomly put into their teams here. And then what's neat is, as a student, if we go back around to my student view here, so stop share there and share my screen here. If I enter my name is student. I can select what team I want to be on, or you can go back to that option where they auto go into team. I'm going to choose magenta, and boom, I'm in a team, but I didn't have to actually be interacting with that team. It's really neat because if you are doing this all at the same time and you have a bunch of students competing, this is the way to do quizzes and make it seem like it's actually this intense game, and have that option, kind of like, again, like Kahoot. You get kind of involved in what, I mean, as a student, you want to win. So they'll show that, then again, once the activity is completed, it'll say beginning for next activity. This is a good way to really get students excited and compete to get their quiz done. And then because I was magenta, we can see now that magenta was winning. And then I'll hit finish. And then look at this. I love this. It'll give me that report. I can hit show names, which is great if I'm an instructor and I just kind of wanted to see how everybody's doing assessment wise. This is a way to get that idea and make it fun and interactive, without it just being just about the quizzes, kind of again, like Quizlet was really more about the quizzes. And this is that exit ticket quiz. It's something you can assign. It's another quiz, but when they're done with the quiz, then they're done with their assignment and it'll show them as such. So I love that. I love that this was a way to make quizzes really interactive, really engaging. I mean, even as an adult, I was having fun playing with the launch quiz. I wanted the unicorn to win. I wanted the magenta team to win. But this is a good way of bringing that all into what we've already talked about with student engagement, interaction, and accountability. Now, lastly, I want to talk about my favorite of these ed tech tools, and that's Insert Learning. Now, Insert Learning is a Chrome extension add-on. It's for everyone and anyone. The downside is that I'm guessing it has a cost associated with it, but I could not find a cost anywhere. It is free up to 5 lessons. However, after that, there is a fee associated with it. I just don't know what the fee is at this exact moment in time. Now, what I liked is that it is just an extension add-on. I just added it onto my Chrome. So up here, there's that little add-on extension piece for Chrome, and it'll show you what add-ons you have. Like for my computer here, I can click on this and it'll show me. And one of them is this Insert Learning. It is so cool. So it connects directly with your Google Classroom. If you use Google Classroom, I highly recommend also using Insert Learning, just because it is another pairing that they kind of just connect. You're saving yourself a step without having to create a whole nother classroom. I know some school districts don't allow you to use Google Classroom or prefer you use whatever setup they also have. Insert Learning will work for that as well, as long as you have other URLs that maybe you're using or having students go to. Insert Learning works with pretty much any web page. You add questions to that page and then you add the lesson to your class. So let's try it. I'm going to use Doggo News, which is another ed tech tool in itself. Amazing, full of articles, background, current events. I didn't want to dive too deep into it because it does have a function of adding quizzes, which seems to be the most common functionality of assessment wise. But it's cool if your students are doing current events. This Insert Learning tech tool is the way to make a current event interactive and engaging, and not just having students read an article and write a paper about the article. So let's try it. We're going to hit new lesson here. It's going to mention 2 ways to collect, which is click the Insert Learning extension on a web page or find the relevant ways. Since I already went through this and researched what I wanted to add, it's Doggo News. We're going to do the article of, guess what? Snakes have best friends too. And you can already see on this website that Insert Learning has come in and it highlights words that are prevalent to the topic or the article of the paper. And if you go over here on the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see that I have shared a Google Classroom. My Google Classroom, I'm going to go back to Insert Learning. My Google Classroom has already been connected into this Insert Learning tab. So I can view what lessons I have assigned already to that classroom via the Insert Learning dashboard. But that's the way to share it to your Google Classroom. What I like is all the extra tools that I can do right on a website page. So if I want to add a sticky note, like let's say I'm going through the article and I'm like, you know what, I really want my students to read this particular paragraph, or I have a note in myself that I want them to connect the activity, or maybe this particular paragraph has a image that I think would be great to connect to their lessons. Sticky note, add it in, and I can add anything in here. I can even add just like snakes are cool. And then it's a fun interactive way to note stuff. What I also like is I can record the Post-it note. If I want to add my own video clippings, I can do that. The discussion piece is also really neat. Let's say I have this up here and I want to create a discussion so that students are having to answer my discussion question. I'm like, I'm going to be really simple here in means of my discussion question, but it's like, who is your best friend? Or something along those lines. I can create, and it'll give students an option to type their responses into the answer, and then it posts. It goes directly to your Google Classroom. This is an assignment in this. And I'll show you how this will connect back to actually assigning these assignments. If I want the student to really focus on what Gordon Berghart said here, I can highlight it and it highlights. So this is a really cool add-on to your Chrome extension to make a assignment interactive and engaging and overall more holding the student accountable. Because if I hit this assign button on the left-hand side of the screen, I can post this assignment directly to my Google Classroom. The easiest way here is to click that. I already accidentally shared a response, so it didn't like that. So I had to go back and hit that again. And if I go into my classes, then it will show me that an assignment has been posted to my Google Classroom. It would help if I was logged into my Google Classroom here. There we go. Aspects of Positive Thinking is the name of my Google Classroom, and I can share this to these classes. And it will post my assignment, and that will post what I need to do. And look at that. There's that aspects of positive thinking. It'll show that I have the one student, which is Kristen, who has gone and checked out my class because she's in that. And I can just assign. All right, I want to assign this assignment to both. Actually, I only want to assign it to positive thinking techniques. So we're going to go in here. And now if I go ahead and opened my Google Classroom, I would be able to see that as a posted assignment, which I really think is cool. This is a neat way to go through and use these tools that are out there for ed tech to bring in student engagement and interaction and involvement and accountability and all these things that with distance and online learning can be really challenging. I really hope that these options that are out there are something that you as an instructor and teacher take a minute to go and look at and see how they'll work for you as a instructor, teacher, or for your classroom and your grade level. The last thing that I just want to note here is that all of these ed tech tools came from Don't Ditch That Tech by Matt Miller, Nate Ridgway, and Angelia Ridgway. There are, like I said earlier, so many ed tech tools out there to assist with holding students accountable. I personally found these three to be the most interesting and user-friendly. And that's what I guess drew me to them. Quizzes is great for an interactive way to assess students on material. Quizzes was that first one we looked at where they could take any quiz that is essentially out there. You can also create your own quiz on Quizzes, which is awesome. Socrative or Socrative was another assessment tool, which included like fun games and not just a quiz, but in a quiz game type way, made it fun, interactive. And also I love the idea of the exit ticket, like that last thing they need to do before they can say they're done. It's a clear way to show they're done with the assignment. And finally, insert learning is a quick way to include, well, what I found to make assigning coursework a little easier knowing that instead of just having students read this, they actually had to interact with this page and do the assignments that were connected with it, since we can't really hold them accountable to read an article if you're not in person. Overall, all of these web tech tools include accountability, and I hope you find something that works well for you in your classroom. And other than that, that's all, folks.